a year when Jan Palach and Jan Zajíc sacrificed their lives, when the third wave of Czech refugees were warmly welcomed in a Western world, when Gustav Husák replaced Alexandra Dubček, when normalization started. I was born. I was busy studying and hating mathematics and German that I had to learn at school. I had no clue what LGBT was all about. I graduated from the Film Academy in Písek. I'm a freelance photojournalist based in San Francisco, currently working in Asia and, besides other projects, documenting the transgender community in the capital of Nepal. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome photographer, World Press Photo winner, Jana Ašenbrennerová.
Good evening. So I'm a photojournalist, and you heard a lot of personal stories here, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to share a story that I just recently completed. What I do is I go to different parts of the world and I collect basically different stories of people I meet and I see. And I focus on LGBT, but not only. So I represent them basically by sharing what they share with me and what I observe and what I see. And that's what I hope to do tonight as well. I came back from Nepal a few days ago, and while I was there, besides other things, I documented the transgender community that it's quite large in the city of Kathmandu. And I spent about 1 month with them, on and off. I would go and hang out with them basically and see and try to understand their obstacles, but lifestyle as well. So in Nepal, there is a really well-established and well-functioning non-profit called Blue Diamond. That it's an LGBT activist group that has been there for many years, and it's, as I said, it's very well established, and it's really impressive what they have accomplished in the past years. So they support their community, and as well as transgender that they basically connected me with and let me work with. So the acceptance of LGBT in Nepal is not ideal, of course. There is a lot of space for improvement, as you can imagine. But I have to say that it's not as dramatic as I've seen, for example, in Africa or in other parts of the world. One of their recent accomplishments, which I think put everything in a perspective a little bit, is that when you arrive to Nepal or when you are leaving it, there is a form that you have to fill out, and there is the usual male-female box that you have to choose. And for the transgender people, this has been something that has been a really huge issue, and they really suffer by have to make the decision. But quite recently, what they accomplished, and which with collaboration with the government, now when you go to Nepal, you have 3 boxes. So you can choose male, you can choose female, but you can also choose other. So they feel like that has been something that it is accomplishment, and even the collaboration with government, it's a huge deal. Let me just go through the photos. So I call them the story or the pictures I would like to show you Night Queens, because when I was asking some people who live with the transgender community I will introduce you tonight, they say they are Night Queens, and the reason is because many of them unfortunately don't have other option but work as prostitutes. Because their society is still not accepting them enough to be willing to give them regular jobs. So this is the only option many of them have. And Night Queens is because of that job. They basically sleep very late, and they start their day around noon. They start doing their activities, they start doing washing, going to salons, as you're going to see in some of the pictures, and they start transitioning. They pull out their boxes with their makeup, and it's really something incredible to watch, that between 2 hours you just see all these women looking incredibly. So that's where the name comes from, basically, and where I took it from. this group I documented, it's about 10 transgender women who live in this area. They all are renting rooms and live together, support each other, and I think it's also something that has been helping them individually, that they have that support and friendship, and they discuss everything and they can ask for help when they need it or when they are not doing so well. They also share makeup, as you can imagine. Prostitution is something that is illegal in Nepal, so police is quite after them, and it is not uncommon that they get caught and they do go to jail. They have their specific lawyer, which they told me quite upset that their lawyer is lazy, that doesn't help them enough, and when there is an issue, they feel like they don't get enough support. But I've seen that happen, that the police just comes, captures them, and then the society usually helps them to get them out or pay them out. This is after transition, that's Ria. And that's Jala. You can imagine there's a lot of energy going on in this small community, and a lot of talking and chatting and laughing, fighting as well. It's a lot of energy. Majority of them take a lot of hormones. I was really curious to know because many of them have female features, as you can see. And so when I discussed that with them, the way they reach that, they take a lot of pills, basically regular. The way they do that, it's if they have limited money or if they want to have a quick results, they take usually birth control pills, and they take, instead of taking it for whole months, they take 3 to 4 pills a day. And then they reach that look, or they were describing also that their skin is smoother and everything. So many of them take it. Not all of them can manage, but majority of them do take it. They watch a lot of Bollywood videos, or they're really into transgender models and all that kind of stuff for inspiration, and they look at magazines to get the new looks. Nepal is also a very religious country, so Hinduism is the main religion, so many of them pray on a daily basis as well. And this is the salon they go to, and this lady basically takes care of a lot of them. She does their hair, she takes off all the unwanted hair, whatever they need them off, and they also buy clothes and makeup or nail polish from her. She's some sort of mother. This is usually when they're starting to waking up around morning, noon. It's the dynamic. Just everyone's around, not much talking, just like a regular life anyone has. I would like to share a few portraits I did. I photographed all of them I worked with or I interviewed. I did their portraits. And I purposely photographed them all without makeup. So the way you see them here, it's their natural beauty, or it's the way they look, like you can say they wake up like that, with just one exception, which I mentioned. So this is Annie. She's a really feminine one, and she was always proud to tell me that when she gets her client, they don't know that she is a male, actually. She never had a sex change, but when I was leaving Nepal, she just went to Thailand to get her breast done in Thailand. They all go, they save money for many years. It takes them a lot of time. And so she now has breasts. That's Elena. I spent the most time with her, and it was really interesting because they are all very skeptical about having a partner, and I will go back to that a little later. But she has a boyfriend now who has been really supportive. I met him, I've seen him around, he buys her gifts, he buys her clothes, and it's really been quite touching to see how he takes care of her and how much he loves her. And but as I was discussing that with her, she told me a story about one of her clients who she fall in love with last year before Valentine's Day, a month before Valentine's Day, and how that was the man of her dreams. And she was head over heels in love with him, but he was bringing her flowers, he was giving her chocolate, and how amazing that was. And then she decided she has to tell him the truth because he still didn't know she was transgender. And so she was too shy to tell him that in person, so she had written a story for him, and she gave him the letter, and she told him, read it when you get it home. And that was unfortunately the last time she saw him, because he had no idea, and he was shocked, and he didn't want to see her anymore. So with tears in her eyes, she was telling me this story and crying and saying that every single one of them have a story like that, and that's just a repeating problem, and how hard it is to get a boyfriend. But that seems like that's the focus of what they would love to have, of course. So that's the ongoing struggle. It's Kashmira, very quiet. So this is the only portrait that I have done of Barsa when she had her makeup on. I have not really seen her without makeup, so she's on it. But I just love her energy. She was really playful. She was a little bit older than the rest of them, but really vibrant. Alisa, she works at the Blue Diamond Society, and I thought it was interesting her work, because she often she's in charge of the hotline. So when somebody decides to come out, and as I said, there's a big network and support for gay people all across Nepal. They have offices almost in every district by now. So she is there to pick up the phone and guide people through how to come out, what to do if they're gay, or what to do if they want to be transgender, if that's what they feel like, how to go about that. So she is basically the one who is there to pick up the phone and support, give the immediate support or advice. I met some couples. They're happily married couples, Harmila and her husband, who got married recently, and it was the only officially married couple that I met, and they lived together, and they didn't seem they seemed really in love. It was great just to spend the afternoon with them and see how loving they are with each other. Susma, very young, and some of her stories were quite unfortunate, because her being young and being very beautiful, as you can see, there's a lot of people, even Westerners, who come in and take advantage of her, and just hear her talking about it and not knowing basically what to do, because on one hand she was excited about the attention they would give her, or the gifts they would give her, but on the other hand she would feel used and not know how to deal with the feelings afterwards when they disappear, when they use her, when they force her into sex or other things. Jaola, she would often tell me how men would take her home, and then they would find out she is actually men, and they would beat her. So sometimes I would just see her the next day, she would have scratches on her face, and she's like, well, you know what that is. Sarah Casey, she's like one of their speakers. She's really confident. She doesn't wear makeup. She believes she's naturally enough beautiful. And she believes she is getting ready for her sex change, and she believes she will be the next supermodel, transgender supermodel. Gabita, Kali, it's like their mother. She's one of the oldest from the group, and really chatty, very, very vibrant, and happy, naturally happy and positive attitude. When she was describing how it was for her to come out and become transgender and basically be a woman and carry herself as a woman, she had this great joy on her face, and she said, no, only the issue she has is with her family that rejected her. She never wants to see them, but apart from that, she feels she lives fulfilled life, or she's satisfied with how she is, how she presents herself and carries herself. Another couple, not married, but they have been together for a very long time, and just watching them, it's really touching, actually, how they communicate, and just to see their love and affection for each other. And this is Muskaan. It's the last portrait I have, and there is a series of few pictures of hers I would like to share with you, just to show another perspective on the issue of transgender. So that's her also, and this is how she looks. They all are a little bit jealous of her, because supposedly she has really white skin and she looks Russian, and so she has a lot of clients, and so sometimes they have been like envious and talking in a kind of funny way about her, but I think they all love her because she's a really good heart and does a lot of stuff. So as you know, there was an earthquake in Nepal in April, and then another 1 month later. So a lot of people lost their homes, and so that's exactly what happened to her family. There's a sister, her sister is right there, and that's Muskaan when she goes home. When I went to her village with her, I had no idea. I spent a month with her, you know, as Muskaan, as a woman, as a beautiful lady. And then we were on the bike, and she just turned at me and she said, Jana, when we arrive in the village, I'm not Muskaan, I'm Pumal. And she told me that like a few minutes before we got there. And like, okay, you're Pumal. So we got there, she was just so bizarre to see her suddenly not being herself. Basically, she was trying to act like a guy and be masculine. But she supports her family. She's building this blue house. You see her. That's her investment. She's the one who has the most money. Her family is very poor. Her sister, brother. So she just come in, helps them out, pays for everything, and then go away. When I was asking her about how they basically how she hides that from them. She said, they maybe know, but I can't come home as a woman because for multiple reasons, the society or the community where her brother and sister live, they would never accept that. They would give them a hard time, so she protects them as well by not going there as her real self. But also it's her brother's house. And what was really fascinating to me is that she adopted 3 children from orphanage. I don't remember exactly how long ago, but they live with her brother. She sponsors them. She pays for their education and for food and for everything. And she was telling me that the reason she adopted those kids is because they're the only people who will not betray her, that they are her children and they love her for no matter what she is. If she has money or doesn't have money, if she educates them or not, she just believes that they will be there, that they love her for how she is, not they don't think about it if she is a woman or man or if it's a problem. So that was really touching to hear her speak about it, because she has been overall really skeptical about the possibility of relationship. Interestingly enough, she's married. She's married to a peacekeeper who is now in Lebanon working. But she said that he married her, that she's his wife, but she doesn't believe that something like regular relationship between transgender and a straight person is possible. She's very skeptical, and she thinks that it always falls, they always go away, they just use them, take advantage of them, take as much as they're willing to give, and then they just throw them to a trash. So those were her words, and that's why she said she has all these kids that she loves and gets the real love from. And that's Muskaan. Right after we got home, she just took off everything. She changed, and I felt like she exhaled and was happy. So yeah, so we all basically want same thing, to be accepted and understood, and they are not any different than we are in that way. And I felt like they already did such a amazing job, just becoming who they are and transitioning and going through all that. That all we have to do now is to accept them. So, thank you.